The Democratic Republic of Sports. The Sportsocracy with ESPN Asheville hosts Tank Spencer and Jeremy Green.
Welcome into the Sportsocracy, day after the national championship game. Good morning. It went exactly as I thought it was going to go last night.
I almost called the score. I was within 3 points on both sides.
52-24. Alabama does it again. They win the national championship. Welcome into the program. I'm Tank Spencer. He's Jeremy Green. It is the Sportsocracy. Like, share, and follow us on all the social medias at the Sportsocracy. Also, we are live from the Wicked Weed studio, wickedweedbrewing.com. Drink different. Nick Saban has done it again for the seventh time. Greatest coach in college football history. There's no doubt about it. Jalen Waddle last night earning some major brownie points, but was it the smart move? We'll get into that. Mac Jones had a hell of a game. Devontae Smith, holy Jesus. Draft impacts from last night. We'll also get into some other stuff. You know, Doug Peterson got fired.
Dick Peterson. That's an aggressive. Old Dick.
Yeah, he's another guy that works down at the post office. Dick Peterson gets fired from the Philadelphia Eagles, and Kyrie Irving has a prolonged absence now from the NBA and the Brooklyn Nets, and it's only going to get longer. So we'll talk about that and everything you want to talk about as well. Hit us up in the comments. All right, Jeremy. So it is. It was a day, but it's sitting there watching that football game. I thought, I thought this is how this was going to go. Ohio State came out and made me a believer for a minute or two.
Yeah, me too. I bought it. Click, line, sinker.
Really? When they were going back and forth for the first quarter, you never thought.
I never thought this was going to be a game for 1 second.
Really?
As soon as Trey Sermon went to the locker room, I went, well, there with that.
Yeah.
I forgot. I tried to think of this morning, how exactly could I make Ohio State fans hate me more than they already do? And I thought to myself, what could I do? And so, we're just gonna, we'll go, I just wanted you to hate me a little bit more than you already did.
Whipping out the Michigan t-shirt.
Yeah, Jesus. I just wanted you to hate me a little more than you already did.
Why do you gotta rub salt in the
wound? Because it's fun for me. It's fun. Because I got so many poorly spelled, you just don't get it with Ohio States on Twitter, and I'm not going to lie, I am enjoying this with every bit of my soul.
The first quarter was fun, though. I mean, it was tight.
It was
went
fun.
Back and forth.
It was
you
fun.
You could tell Alabama was feeling them out. And
then they went, wait, we don't have to play around with you. This was like a cat playing with a mouse.
Yeah.
And it went, oh, wait. I could just do that at any given time. And then they did.
Yep. They did in the second quarter. They exploded for 28 points in the second. And, it got ugly quick. Devontae Smith, the Heisman
He's
Trophy
good at football.
winner, holy cow.
You think I took victory laps on Ohio State fans last night?
Yeah.
Holy shit. You should have seen how many I took on people that have been telling me how wrong I am about Alabama players in this upcoming draft.
Right.
We'll talk about that later in this show, too.
Devontae Smith played the first half, and that finger injury was gross.
It wasn't good.
I didn't enjoy that replay, just watching that finger just flop dead on his hand.
Yeah, it wasn't good. I didn't like it, and I'd really like to not talk about it.
Yeah, 12 catches for 215 yards and 3 touchdowns in the first half. Yeah, they didn't need him after that. It was fine.
Yeah.
Devontae Smith, I mean, he is unbelievable. Well deserving of the Heisman Trophy, and there was no one on that field that was in his class.
Do you realize what he would have done had he played that whole game?
Yeah.
I mean, he would have done some shit that it will never be touched.
Oh, yeah.
He probably, and I'm trying to not be hyperbolic here, he probably would have had 350 yards receiving.
Yeah.
Because Ohio State had no solution, which is exactly what I told you was going to happen. Shaun Wade, holy God. You talk about a guy that cost himself a whole mess of money. You remember that scene in The Dark Knight where the Joker shows up and there's this big pile of money, he just covers it in gasoline, sets it on fire?
Uh-huh.
That is Shaun Wade's future earnings after last night.
Well, that night, the night started out well for him. I mean, he made that one tackle, that one tackle on the screenplay that was like, oh man, this might be the good Shaun Wade. And then the pass game started, and it was the same shit. I mean, you called him out for it in the Clemson game, and then that's all I could see last night was what kind of cushion are you giving these guys?
That's because his technique was turn and run. Turn and run away! It's fantastic. I feel so good this morning.
You felt bad for Trey Sermon. Having that injury in the biggest game of the year, it's god-awful, and, I feel bad for him. But, yeah, you knew. You knew as soon as he was holding that arm dead like that, it was over. He goes back to the locker room, and Ohio State, that was the only way that they were going to keep that game close.
Yep.
Was to have Trey Sermon run for, 175 yards on 35 carries and just kind of slog the game out. Now, I will admit, I thought that Master Teague came in pretty well, filled in pretty well for him in his stead, but, I mean, backup running back, you're in a real tough situation there.
I mean, you're going to get what you get, and you lose Trey Sermon, which is really unfortunate. It was very unfortunate. I saw him go to the locker room, and I went, "Oh God, that almost guarantees this is not a game." I'm going to level with you. I've heard every excuse from Ohio State. We're dealing at coronavirus. I don't care if you had Reggie White and Derek Thomas in the prime. It wouldn't have freaking mattered last night.
Nope.
You know why? Because you wind up with linebackers on Devontae Smith. And, I mean, literally, I called it out before the play even happened. There's a safety and a linebacker. Those are the only two that can wind up on Devontae Smith. There is no other alternative pre-snap because he's in the slot in the motion spot. This will not go well for you. So, I mean, to me, it was exactly what I've been saying. Alabama outclasses you in talent. It's not close. And there's not a lot going to change about this. Now Bryce Young comes in to replace Mac Jones. And I got news for you. If you think they're going to take a big drop-off, you're wrong. They have a ton of guys returning. That defense almost entirely returns. They lose Surtain, they'll lose Dylan Moses, and they'll lose Christian Barmore after last night.
Yep.
There's another guy that I was right about. Oh, you shouldn't have him in your first round. Oh, really? He'll be in my top 10 next time.
Right. And, of course, a lot of people making this about, the weird season, the roughest season we've ever seen, and asking Nick Saban at the end of the game about how did your team do it? How did you guys end up not having these problems? And I wanted Nick Saban to look at the reporter and go, because I told them so. Yeah. Because, because think about it. Here's something somebody sent me earlier today. There was a great recap of the culture and the class of the Alabama program. Things I noticed about Alabama tonight. 1, no white shirts hanging out under their jerseys. 2, receivers and running backs always find an official to give the ball to. 3, no palms up when the play doesn't go their way. And 4, no talking after making a catch, long run, or good defensive play. Those things don't happen in the Nick Saban program.
That's because he expects that to happen.
Right, because he says, we're going to come out here, we're going to be professional about it. We've been here before, and we're going to act like it. Right. And that
there is something that goes
way.
to the act like you've been there before.
Right.
And you know what? All these Alabama guys, they have. You want to hear the greatest stat? This is the most unbelievable stat I've ever heard in my life. Saban got to Alabama in 2007. Do you realize that every recruiting class he has ever recruited has won a national title?
Really?
All of them. He does not have one recruiting class that has ever spent 4 years at Alabama and not won a ring. Not one!
Right? In 14 years at Alabama, he has made the national championship game 8 times. That means he has been to the national championship game more than he hasn't. That is unbelievable to me. Only 6 years has he not competed for the national championship.
Look, and I'm going to level with you. I'm taking obviously a lot of shots at Ohio State because they take a lot of shots at me.
Right.
So I do kind of enjoy this. The guys like Justin Harvey, I will salute your true fandom. You never had a shot. You had no prayer in this. And I don't know who the second best team in America was. I firmly don't believe it was Ohio State, and I never have. I think the SEC was far and away better. Frankly, I think the 3 best teams in college football were all in the SEC. And I really believe that. I think the three best teams in college football were Florida, Texas A&M, and Alabama. And when you have a team like Alabama that plays 10 games against that schedule, guess what? They were more ready for you than you were for them.
Yep.
Because they have seen big boy players and Sunday talents and things like that. This was, I think it was Tim Tebow that said, we just watched Alabama do something that nobody will ever do again. They went undefeated in an all-SEC season.
Yep.
Nobody will ever do it again. And, you know, I understand hating Nick Saban because, frankly, I get it. Yeah. but there comes a time, Nick Saban's become like the Mike Krzyzewski of football.
Indeed.
You look at him and just go, good God, I hate you so much, but damn do I respect you.
Right.
Like, if I had a kid and Nick Saban came calling, I'd have to, as soon as he walked out of the room, I'd go, well, you're going here.
Yeah.
I don't care if you don't ever play. I want you to play for that guy.
Right. And don't get us wrong. You can still talk shit about those guys. That's absolutely fine. Because I do it with Coach K all the time. All the time. As a Tar Heel fan, I hate the guy so much. And I'll talk so much shit about him. But at the end of the day, you have to come to the realization, facts are facts.
Yeah.
And this guy's the greatest coach we've ever seen.
Ever. And it's not all that close.
No. Nick Saban has created the Alabama dynasty.
Oh, and by the way,
And it's-
when he leaves, Dabo Swinney replaces it.
Right.
So
That's the thing. It's not going to end anytime soon. You know, before the show, we were talking outside, and you know, producer Brian says, "Who's next for Alabama?" It really doesn't matter at this point.
Who cares?
Because
Yeah.
right. Because I mean, obviously, John Mechie's going to come up and he's going to be the number one wide receiver next year. They're going to have Bryce Young, who was the number one, dual quarterback recruit in his class. He's going to come in and play quarterback. They just lock and load, just all constant, moving 5-star machine.
and there's only
This is
one
what
way to
he's
stop it,
created.
and they're not going to.
It's not going to stop.
Well, there is one way to stop it, and you have to put the scholarship limits on these schools. That's the only way you're ever going to restore the balance power in college football.
Right.
Because I want you to really think about this. If you look at the grand scale of college football, since we started doing this playoff, Alabama's missed it once. Clemson's missed it once. Oklahoma's been there multiple times. Ohio State's been there multiple times. And then, we have an LSU every once in a while.
Notre Dame every once in
We
a
have a
while.
Notre Dame every once in a while who comes in and gets the piss beat out of them.
Right.
You're not going to restore the balance of power because now you've got Nick Saban and Dabo Swinney that can go into any kid's house in America and go, you come here, you're gonna win national title because you're gonna.
And you're probably going to go pro.
Historically, you're gonna,
Oh, yeah.
and you're probably gonna wind up in the NFL because that's what happens.
You're
If you want a fun exercise, look at the 2017 Alabama national championship team and realize Devontae Smith was the 5th receiver on that team.
Yeah. Your statement about how the second string for Alabama could have probably been.
I swear to you, I think the backups for Alabama, I think, are the second best team in the country.
Yeah.
I really believe that. That's how freaking unbelievable this team was.
Right.
And that's hard not to argue with.
I mean, this is a team that we're gonna look down. We're gonna look back at this team 3 or 4 years from now and go, my God, how many players did they have on that team?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, so there's 32 picks in the first round of the draft. Do you know how many of these guys have first round grades?
8,
According to McShay and me both, it's 6.
6.
Todd McShay and I both have 6 first round grades on Alabama by themselves. That's
unbelievable.
insane. Do you know how many Ohio State, all right, let's say they're the second best team in the country. Do you know how many they had?
3.
2. And 1 is close.
Sean Wade.
No. Sean Wade's a 3 for me now.
Really?
Hell yeah.
Damn.
Sean Wade's a 3 for me now, and if you take him any higher than that, you're reaching. Straight up.
He's hurt.
Sean Wade set money on fire.
Yeah.
Because you can't play like that.
Right.
You can't, because you're playing scared. And that was the number one thing I said coming to this game is what corner can one-on-one, who can you stop? With Alabama, you stopped Olave because you had Patrick Surtain on him. By the way, you want to talk about somebody that helped their stock last night? That guy. But Ohio State has no ability to do that, and nobody does. Because they're so electric and they're so good that, okay, you don't have anybody that can one-on-one stop anybody. So you cannot stop them from doing anything that they want to.
Patrick Holt, I believe the answer to your question is yes. He asked whether or not this Alabama team is better than LSU's team last year.
It's close.
That went roughshod through college football.
It's real close.
I think the answer is yes. I realized LSU had a lot of talent on that team. But
I think LSU had more talent on defense.
I think Alabama.
But I think Alabama's more talented offensively. Mm-hmm. But I mean, this is where the game is. I mean, you want to know how to build a competitive team? Be able to score. Mm-hmm. It will. I mean, we saw last night evidence number 417,000 of why. Oh, you play really good defense? Cool. Nobody gives a shit. The targeting on battle at the 5-yard line is proof positive if nobody cares how well you play defense. Point blank.
Stop that.
Stop what? Look, and I know what you're getting ready to say. Oh, he dropped his head. I'm well aware of that. Take that out of it. So that's what the people that do this with me. Oh, you got a form tackle. Do you understand that that's a 6'5", 270-pound tight end that's got his head down? Mm-hmm. If his head's straight up, he'd have been in the fucking hospital. Because the head from the receiver, that was coming at you regardless. Mm-hmm. So you had two choices. Either you can try to defend yourself, or you can let that big bastard who outweighs you by 40 pounds and is 6 inches taller than you just blast through you. Mm-hmm. See, the thing that drives me crazy about this rule is people look, that's where he made the mistake. Okay, right. What's the alternative? Keep your head straight up, see what happens. Because he dropped his head well before. Mm-hmm. That tight end was dropping his head. And guess what? If he had dropped his head, the safety keeps his head up. The tight end runs through him with the crown of his helmet, runs into the end zone. Guess what? You know what there's not going to be? Flag. Not one time ever. I've never seen it, not one time.
Right.
You want me to think this targeting thing is more realistic? Protect the safety. Mm-hmm. Because if he had kept his head back, he would have been staring at stadium lights, probably praying to gods he doesn't believe in. Yeah, but praying somebody would just please make my head stop hurting.
Right. No, I get it. It's a tough rule. And
it's a stupid rule.
It's not a stupid rule.
Okay, here's the thing. I thought about this last night for an extended period of time. All right, because people make it sound like there were people dying on the field because we had helmet-to-helmet hits. No, they weren't. No, they weren't. It wasn't going that way, and we just put this in a few years ago. So don't act like this was Vietnam 3 years ago, because that's not how this went. No. Here's how you solve it. I can solve this targeting horse shit in one fell swoop, and you're going to hate it.
Okay.
Stop running post routes. No more post routes. That's what does it. That's exactly what does it. It's running up the seam. Mm-hmm. I think you got to do something for the defense, because that safety has absolutely no alternative. You run that big tight end at that little safety, he has no alternative, because he wanted to hit him in the chest. Mm-hmm. And anybody that tells me I'm wrong, I'll show it to you again. Mm-hmm. That was his objective. Was this is a real big dude, and the only shot I have of stopping him is drilling him right between the chest plate.
Yep, locking in.
And that's what he wanted to do. Tight end dropped his head, no penalty on him.
I get it.
Because trust me, that hurt that safety every bit as bad as it hurt that tight end. Mm-hmm. And then the tight end lays on the field for a second like, oh, I'm dead. And then he gets up and goes, first down. Oh, piss off. Piss down the road.
We all know why the rule exists. They want to keep
I get why it exists. You got to fix it. And this ejection shit is nonsense. You got to get rid of the ejection. The ejection's stupid.
I believe it should be. It shouldn't be an immediate ejection
because that's stupid.
Right. Just like we learned in the in the Clemson game, it needs to be a ref call.
This is like
it's got to be an intent call.
I mean, not trying to compare this to the legal system, but this is like getting pulled over for not wearing your seatbelt, and they make you do a fucking nickel and sing. See how stupid that sounds?
That is
because that's pretty equivalent here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. you one infraction. Bye. Battle. Your college career's over in the national title game.
I agree. The punishment does not fit the crime, in my opinion. But I understand why the rule exists, and I understand that you have to, having the punishment be so severe should make the guys think differently about how they go at a receiver. I get it. He's a smaller guy. That's the only way that he was going to be able to inflict pain on the bigger guy. Yeah. I get it, but you just can't. You just put yourself at risk, and
you put yourself at risk playing safety in the SEC.
Well,
you want to not be at risk? Learn to kick.
This is true,
because I guarantee you, old kicker for Alabama, he took his jersey off, put that bitch right back in the drawer.
Right. But sometimes, do you or do you not have to protect the athlete from himself?
Oh, God, I know exactly where this is going. God, look at you with a segue. Shit, somebody went to broadcaster school yesterday.
Jalen Waddle made it back from his broken ankle, forced his way onto the field because he wanted to compete. total admiration, bro. That was class move. Love it. Heart, determination, all of it. You just scored every brownie point on the planet with me. However, was that the smart move? Was that the right thing to do at that time? And there are a lot of NFL players that agree with me that when he came out onto the field and he had that first play and then he came limping to the sideline, like not even wanting to put 10% weight on that leg, shut it down, babe. It was a valiant effort, but you got so much more to think about. Yeah.
Stop being bad words I can't say. You know what Jalen Waddle did last night? Made himself a whole hell of a lot of money. That's what he did.
Yes, he did.
Because you know what? This kid worked his ass off for 10 weeks. The first thing, they said this on the telecast yesterday, the first thing he said in the ambulance was, I want to work to get back for the national title game.
Yeah.
I take you to top 5.
Yeah.
Right.
I got good, my Lord have mercy, your heart, I love it. Especially after I watched all these pansy-ass players say, oh, I'm not going to play a bowl game because it's not good for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jalen Waddle wants to play? Hell yeah. You give that kid every bit of commendation for working how he did. Watch the videos of him working to come back for this game. You want to know what it would have taken for him to not be on that field? I think somebody would have had to have hit him in the head with a hammer. That's what it would have taken to keep him off that field.
Right.
And secret time, how many catches do you have?
3.
I asked them both that this morning. They both missed it by 2 or more.
Yeah, I got it wrong.
Yeah.
I thought it was 5. Because every time he was out there, you saw him.
Yeah.
Because the camera was focused in on him because it was so obvious that he should not be.
And I love, you know what, and here's the thing. Maybe I'm looking at this the wrong way and maybe I'm being over the top about it, but you know what I love? I love a 21-year-old kid that looks at the brotherhood of his team and goes, I will lay it all on the line. I will risk my future security because this is my family. I have gone to war with these guys and there is no way you're keeping me off that field. And you know what? You know what I did last night when I saw him get on that field? I went back to my scouting profile of Jalen Waddle and bumped him up about 10 spots. And I'll guarantee you, damn near every team in the NFL did the exact same thing. Because what I saw last night was, oh, you're the 2? Let's say I'm the New England Patriots. And I'm looking at this guy at 15. And I see you in a national title game where your money is already guaranteed. You literally can do very little to help yourself, but you can do a lot to hurt yourself. Because if you'd hurt that foot again, that would have been a problem. Because now that's a red flag because now it's been hurt twice.
Yep.
And that's the way we work. When something gets hurt twice, it becomes a problem. And I look at that kid and go, that kid cared more about his teammates and more about the end goal than he cared about his bank account. And you know what? It made him money. Mm-hmm. You mark my words, he'll be higher in my next mock draft than he was in my last one.
Yep. I don't disagree with anything you just said. It made him a lot of money, but that's a gamble that I'm not willing to take, and it's a gamble that a lot of guys believe he shouldn't have taken. I mean, Pat Mahomes, respect the heart, but you can't let that man be out there. Darius Leonard, come on, man. Come on, Nick. Don't let Waddle do this. He's hurt, and he shouldn't be out there. Des Bryant, Gerald McCoy, A.J. Brown, all of them on Twitter last night saying, somebody's got to protect this kid.
Do you know what every one of those guys have in
so
common?
much money on the line right now.
You know what every one of those guys have in common? Read them back to me one more time.
Never played for a national championship.
There you go.
That's where you
Pat Mahomes was 4-8 at Texas Tech.
Right.
A.J. Brown played at Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
Darius Leonard played at South Carolina State. I don't remember. Des Bryant played at Oklahoma State. Mm-hmm. You never got to this level. I don't care what you think. I don't care.
Gerald McCoy. He played for a title, didn't he?
It was 400 years ago. He's 307 years old.
Or for Oklahoma, rather.
I don't know if he ever played for a national.
I don't know.
Team.
I remember they were really good.
They were very good.
Right.
And man, that's fine. Mm-hmm. You know, that's how guys feel. It's real easy for guys that are sitting in the NFL with their bank accounts padded and with no worries in the world to say, oh, don't do that.
Yeah.
Jalen Waddle, you know what he just did? He answered a lot of questions. Mm-hmm. He answered a lot of questions for a lot of scouts. Because Jalen Waddle's not a big guy, but he is incredibly fast.
Yep.
I'll make a sweeping declaration.
Okay.
Since we're talking about draft ramifications of last night, Jalen Waddle goes in the top 10. You mark my words.
Top 10.
I said it first. Jalen Waddle goes in the top 10. You mark my words.
That's a hell of a gamble that he took, and it paid off. I mean, hats off to him. Like I said, love the heart, everything. just if I were in that kid's ear, if somebody with the more business sense was in that kid's ear, I don't know that he plays.
Well, here's the thing, and that's what drives me crazy. That's what drives me crazy about college football. Mm-hmm. We worry about the business of the game.
Yep.
Let the kids be the kids. Mm-hmm. We played in bowl games for 50 years. Name me a guy whose career was ended in a bowl game. I can think of 2. In 50 years, I can think of 2. Jake Butts won.
Yes.
I watched that on the field against my team. I get it. There's a risk in every game. This is your bowl game. This is the national title. You have worked your entire life to get here. There was nothing keeping that kid off the field, and I'm telling you right now. Somebody said it in the comments. You got guys, I think it was Patrick Holt that said, you have guys that don't play because they have an ingrown toenail. Yeah, the teams that have been burned by that looked at Jalen Waddle and went, I want that kid. Mm-hmm. I want that kid on my team.
Yep.
And quarterbacks that are looking for guys to go to war with them, that they know they can throw over the middle to win titles, they're looking at Jalen Waddle going, I want that kid.
Yeah.
I guarantee you there are a handful of quarterbacks in the NFL that went to their GMs or sent a text or whatever that said, that Waddle kid, I want him.
Yeah.
I want him on this team. And I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to hug that
Top
kid.
10. All right.
I want to go hug that kid, which is saying something because I don't like to be touched worth a shit.
All right, so will there be 2 Alabama wide receivers in the top 10?
Yes.
Because Devontae Smith,
Devontae Smith will not get past 3. Devontae Smith's the number 3 pick in this draft.
Okay, all right.
I think Penny Sewell goes at 2. Or one of the quarterbacks. Somebody might fall in love with one of the quarterbacks and trade up with the Jets.
Right.
Devontae Smith goes 3. There's no doubt. And he could go 2. Mm-hmm. Would it stun me if the Jets couldn't get what they wanted and they look at Devontae Smith and go, yeah, we'll take him at 2. Mm-hmm. We'll put him with Sam. No. And they should. He's the most decorated receiver in college football history.
Mm-hmm. Ever.
I'm not going to say he's the best receiver in college football history because I think we live in the moment. We get drunk on the moment. What we've seen the most recently is the best and the brightest and the greatest of all time. Mm-hmm. Calm down. Calm down on that. Okay. But the kid, this is the most decorated receiver in college football history, and there's a reason. And I'll be honest with you, you listen to him talk after the game, and you go, I get it. I get what it is that Nick Saban loves about this kid so much.
Yep.
Did you notice that virtually nothing he said was about himself?
Mm-hmm.
They interviewed him twice. Mm-hmm. Virtually nothing he said was about himself.
No. Yep.
And I love it. I you know what? I'm going to be honest. I hate Nick Saban. I hate anybody that wins constantly, mainly because none of my teams do. But I have to give Nick credit. I mean, you listen to whether it's Christian Barmore or you listen to Devontae Smith or Mac Jones or any of the guys that talked after the game, and you just go, you know what? These are guys that put everything out there for each other. Yep. And this is one of the greatest college football teams that's ever existed.
Saban said that Devontae Smith did more for his program than any other player he's ever had this year.
And you know what? I can't disagree with that. I look at Devontae Smith. Here's what Devontae Smith did. Oh, by the way, there's another element of this that I want to talk about.
Okay.
What Devontae Smith did was he worked his ass off. Mm-hmm. He was not the best. He was never the most talented receiver on this team. There was never 1 second he was the most talented receiver on this team. Naturally. He's not the fastest. He's not the biggest. He just works. He works his ass off. And you know what? I never thought I'd have a route runner that came close to Jerry Jeudy because Jerry Judy's the highest rated route runner I've ever evaluated. I think all 3, the top 3 route runners I've ever evaluated, they all went to Alabama, and I swear to God, if you took jerseys off of them, you wouldn't know the difference between the 3 of them.
Right.
Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy, and Devontae Smith. Mm-hmm. It's just unbelievable. And that's, in all honesty, that's what people like me, we get a little scared about Alabama players because you don't know that they can get even better. They come out of that program, and you just don't know that they can get even better.
Right.
Who was the big winner of last night?
The big winner of last night?
Because I don't think we're going to agree on this.
Player-wise?
I think
no, this is the one I'm thinking of is not a player.
I mean, I don't know what you're
Say it in the comments if you think you know who I'm talking about.
No clue.
I mean, obviously, we've got it on the screen.
Is it Mac Jones?
No. I think Mac Jones probably solidified himself as a first-rounder.
Right.
If for nothing else, playing through that ankle injury.
Hard to think anybody benefited more than Jalen Waddle.
Jalen Waddle definitely helped himself, but that's also not who I'm talking about.
Barmore.
Christian Barmore helped himself the most in terms of a player to draft stock. Mm-hmm. Christian Barmore was a 2 to a lot of people. I've had him in the top 20 of both mocks I've done, and he's probably going to be higher. In all reality, he might be in the top 15 of my next one. The guy I'm talking about is Steve Sarkisian.
Oh.
And you know why?
Why is that?
Because Steve Sarkisian can now go into the state of Texas today and look at any wide receiver, any running back, any quarterback, any tight end, and go, that's what I can do.
Yeah.
I put it on a national stage against the second best team in the country, or however you want to look at this.
Right.
And I beat them to death. They couldn't stop me. It didn't matter what I did. You want to be Devontae Smith, you want to be a top 10 recruit, come play for me at Texas. And I will say, I didn't understand the firing Tom Herman thing and hiring Steve Sarkisian. After last night, I get it. I get it because he was on the main stage looking at every high school coach, every kid's parents, every kid, everybody involved in the recruiting process. And he went, you want your offensive player to be a star? Look what I can do. Look what I did with Devontae Smith. Not the biggest kid, not the fastest kid, but he worked his ass off.
But is it going to work? That's the thing. Is his scheme going to work anywhere with any level of recruit, or does he have to have the best in the land?
Let me ask you a question. Where do you see better defense, the SEC or the Big 12?
SEC.
And there it is. Mm-hmm. I think he could do unbelievable things against the god-awful defenses of the Big 12. My fear is I don't know if he can stop anybody.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, in the Big 12, does that even really matter?
No.
But I'm telling you right now, Lincoln Riley watched that last night and went, shit. This was real easy for me to get anybody in the Southwest that I wanted.
Yeah.
Right.
And that guy just made it really difficult on me.
Right. Okay. All right. I can take Sark as a big winner last night because that was my big question.
It was the number one thing I was thinking through the vast majority of that game.
Really?
Is there is nobody that has done more for himself in the last 60 minutes than Steve Sarkisian.
Yep.
By the way, can we just talk about the fact that Nick Saban is basically running a coach rehab on his staff?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you make boo-boos somewhere else and you want to rehab yourself, go to Alabama.
Yeah.
Next up, Bill
Bill
O'Brien.
O'Brien.
Next up, Adam Gase.
And I'm going to be honest with you, I think Bill O'Brien will be scary good.
Mm-hmm. Next up, Jeremy Pruitt.
He's already been there once.
Oh, I know.
We already did that one time. So,
You don't think he'd sign up to do it again?
I will say I don't think Jeremy Pruitt survives this week.
No.
This story's kind of gotten buried because we've been talking about the national title and,
Right.
and all these things. I don't think Jeremy Pruitt survives this week as the head coach at Tennessee.
Possible recruiting violations in Tennessee. There's investigations going on, and it looks like Tennessee's got their out. They're not going to have to. They're not going to pay. They're not going to have to pay any money to him to buy him out if they can fire him with cause, and if they can prove that any misstep was taken, that's cause, and we can get out of that contract for nothing. And guess what? Hugh Freeze is sitting right there.
Yeah.
And
Just waiting.
Right. Tennessee was the job that he wanted, and when they found out that Hugh Freeze wasn't going to, interview for any of the other open jobs around, the Texas job or whatever, they went, okay.
They didn't call him at Texas. He didn't interview for South Carolina. He didn't interview for Auburn.
Right. But he was on the list.
Texas looked at Steve Sarkisian and went, we could have that guy. What about that guy?
Mm-hmm. We need a big electric offense to play.
And after last night, I get it. I killed Texas for firing Tom Herman because I thought that was, even to even. No, it's not. After what I watched last night, no, it's not. Yeah. Because I guarantee you I'm not the only one that was thinking that.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you somewhere out there was a 5-star receiver looking at that going, I can play for that guy and not leave my home state? Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Where does this national championship game leave Mac Jones? That's my question, because last night he was phenomenal. 36 of 45. He had 464 yards and 5 touchdowns. He was unbelievable. Where does this leave him in the draft process? Because there were some that have him as a late first-round pick. Did this make him more of a case for middle of the first round?
There are a lot of guys that do what I do that have had Mac Jones in the middle of the first round for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get there. I just can't. I think his ceiling is so low that I think he's somewhere in the 20s.
Yeah.
And it really depends on where he winds up. If he wound up in New Orleans, all the way in. I don't like him in New England, which is a place that I keep seeing him. I just the floor is really high. I mean, he just reminds me so much of Rex Grossman. And I look at him, and I'll be honest with you, something you said to me earlier today. I watched him last night, and one of my first thoughts was, is this the same thing that happened with Tua Tagovailoa?
Exactly.
Is this why Tua looks so good? Because the weapons around him were absolutely astronomical.
Yeah. It made me question the same thing. You know, I've been a Tua defender. And Tua was awesome at Alabama. There's no question about it. But was it all the scheme? Was it all because he had the greatest receiving core that we've ever seen in college football history? I now have that question because I don't think Mac Jones is all that great. I mean, he's good. He's a really good quarterback. I mean, this is a kid who had the dream of playing in Alabama and made that dream come true.
And worked his ass off to make it
yeah,
happen.
absolutely. But I also agree with the thing that I regurgitated yesterday, that I had read an article that said if he was with any other team, he'd be okay. He'd be a dude. He'd be a pretty good college quarterback, but he wouldn't be this good.
No.
He wouldn't be a Heisman Trophy winner. You know, he wouldn't have if he didn't.
He finished.
Well, I mean, a Heisman Trophy contender is what I meant. Candidate. Thank you. Looking for that word. But he had the best receivers, the best offensive line, one of the best running backs in the country. That offense was so loaded. Of course, a good quarterback's going to make that look good, and that offense is going to make him look great. But I don't think he's great, and I don't think he's a first-round pick.
I do.
I really don't.
I do because I think his floor is so high. His absolute floor is elite backup quarterback. He's an elite backup quarterback no matter what.
Ryan Fitzpatrick?
Yeah. I can see him being that kind of guy.
Is Ryan Fitzpatrick, if you knew you were getting Ryan Fitzpatrick, would you take him in the first round? I think the answer to that is no.
I think the answer to that is yes.
Really?
I'll look at that differently than you.
Okay.
I think the answer to that is yes.
I mean, it'll give you a little stability because you know he's always going to be there, and he's going to have big games, he's going to have sad games, and you're going to be mediocre. I don't think that. I mean that doesn't scream first round draft pick to me. Because what have you long said, Jeremy? Oh, drafty one. When you get a first round pick, you need to hit
high
that
first round pick. High first round pick is what I say.
Shouldn't you hit every first round pick?
Well, you're never going to hit every first round pick.
No, but that's the goal, right?
Here's the thing: Mac Jones is a solid double because I think he will be a high end backup, low end starter for 10 years in the NFL.
Okay.
I think he can be a Rex Grossman type. And just remember this, Rex Grossman started in the Super Bowl. The NFL is very different now, and I understand that. He's not a guy that I'm looking at getting real excited about because I think I look at somebody like Kyle Trask, and his ceiling is much higher, but his floor is much lower. Kyle Trask could be out of the NFL in 3 years, and it wouldn't shock me.
Right.
There's nothing about that would surprise me. I think somebody will give him a chance just because he works so damn hard. Because the same thing I just said about Mac Jones reminded me of Rex Grossman, there were a lot of people that probably said that exact same thing about Tom Brady. And this is a really smart, and I understand that's the one in a million. I understand that. But this is a real smart quarterback that works real hard. So yes, I do think there's something to the offensive weaponry and things like that. I still, if I'm the Saints or somebody like that, I'd rather have Mac Jones than Taysom Hill, and it's not even close.
Yeah.
Well, everybody wants to strive to be better than their heroes. And I think Mac Jones has done that. His hero is Tim Tebow. And I think he'll be much better than NFL quarterback than Tim Tebow.
He'll be better than him in the NFL.
Right.
I want to play a fun game with you.
Yeah.
I told you to look up the 2017 Alabama roster. Would you like to hear the names of every receiver on that team that caught more than 2 passes?
Yeah.
Now remember, Irv Smith was the tight end.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Henry Ruggs, Cam Sims, Jerry Jeudy, Robert Foster, Calvin Ridley, Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
You know what all those guys have in common? They're all in the NFL.
Yeah.
Or getting ready to be.
Right.
I mean, that's unbelievable.
That's
The backfield was Damian Harris, Bo Scarborough, Najee Harris, Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what? What?
Only Forrester is a non-starter.
Oh, and Brian Robinson, who's, by the way, going to get drafted in spite of the fact that I think he had maybe 100 carries this year. Yeah, he was the 5.
Yeah. Because that's what you do. That's what you do as a big-time recruit. You go to a school where you don't even have to be the star. You can be the backup and make it into the NFL.
There
How
were
many
a couple
times is that guy going to become something at the next level?
There were a
I'm
couple
looking at Josh
comparisons.
Jacobs.
There were a couple comparisons in the comments that I like. Colt McCoy, I like that one, and Nick Foles. I could see Mac Jones being that kind of player.
Okay.
And I'll be honest with you, in terms of, you asked would I sign up for that with a first-round pick?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'm not going to say no. Colt McCoy, I might. Nick Foles, I wouldn't.
No.
Nick Foles in the right system has been, I mean, you just have to know what it is.
Right.
There's a limited number of quarterbacks out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, not everybody's going to have a Trevor Lawrence. Not everybody's going to have a Pat Mahomes. So, I mean, there are 32 starting quarterback spots in the NFL. So you got to fill them. And there's a whole shit ton of them getting ready to come open.
I mean, look at the people who have started this year: Brandon Allen, Finley, these kind of guys. These guys are,
And those guys are backups. I mean, I feel like, you know, Mac Jones can be substantially better than the Brandon Allen, Ryan Finley class.
yeah,
And I think he's going to be a positive to have in your quarterback room.
yeah.
And I look at with Mac Jones, I can't get away from the Saints. That's just the one that it just yells at me. I had Kyle Trask in there, but I think Kyle Trask falls to day 2.
Justin Herbert. Stop that.
Yeah, Justin
Mac
Herbert.
Jones is not Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert is very athletically gifted. Justin Herbert is Trevor Lawrence's size and very agile.
Uh-huh.
Herbert was one of those that we didn't know if he had it between the ear holes
Mm-hmm.
because he had some mental lapses at Oregon that were a little troubling. This is going to be now that college football's over, this is really the day that I start deep diving on the NFL draft.
Right.
This is where I find my Chase Claypools and my Michael Pittmans and guys that I'm just in love with.
Yeah.
And there will be many, and you will hear them all right here. You will hear them all right here.
Yeah.
We're doing the draft from here, right? Like we've universally agreed to that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. We'll
Hey, and
definitely
there's a bed in here, so if I drink too many of those wicked wheat beers, don't have to drive home.
Yeah.
Right. We will definitely. Any other draft impacts from last night? We talked Christian Barmore.
I think everybody for Ohio State hurt themselves.
everyone.
Everyone. Sean Wade now to me is a 3.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody will take him in the second round just because the natural talent is really. I mean, it can be very alluring. Here's the problem: the Sean Wade tape, and he can verify this. I've been denigrating Sean Wade for a month and a half.
Yes.
Sean Wade's really good against bad talent.
Mm-hmm.
If you put a 5 in the NFL against Sean Wade, he's going to look like a superstar.
Mm-hmm.
You put him on a 1, he's going to get beat senseless. The other guy that really hurt himself, Justin Fields, hurt himself last night. I think he hurt himself a lot. And the reason that I haven't talked about that more is because I probably got too high on him.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that it swayed me. I was overvaluing how much it would sway certain GMs. I've been told specifically Joe Douglas has no interest in Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
My source within that organization said I can't tell you who the quarterback of this team's gonna be. I can tell you who it's not gonna be. It's not gonna be Justin Fields. And I really think there's a possibility that Justin Fields could fall all the way to the middle of the first round. That New England, I had him with 15, New England the first time, and I'm telling you that becomes more and more realistic the more I think about it.
Yeah, I will agree with you on that. Chris Olave.
You were up. I mean, now, granted, he was being defended and being shadowed by the number 1 corner in this class.
Mm-hmm.
He just wasn't an impact guy at all. I mean, how many times did you even hear his name last night?
It was a few.
Yeah, just a few.
It wasn't many.
Yeah.
And I look at a guy like Olave, and you have to be. They have weapons at Ohio State. I've pushed them down. Olave had 8 catches for 69 yards, and it was a very indescript. There was never a play that he made at a big time.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of his catches, to me, I feel like came after this game was already solidly in hand.
Mm-hmm.
So could I see him fall into the second round? Yeah. There are a ton of receivers in this draft.
Yeah.
Rashad Bateman's going to be one of those beauties in the eye of the beholder kind of guys.
Yeah.
I don't love him,
Yeah.
but I have very specific reasons that I don't love him.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into those over the course of the next 2.5 months.
Right. Right. The attitude concerns are an issue.
There's more than that,
Right.
but we'll get into that as time goes on.
Yeah. I don't know. I felt like most everybody from Alabama did fine. or improved their stock. Ohio
Barmore
State,
improved it the most.
I don't know. He improved his the most.
Barmore went from, I was probably too high on him initially, and I he's one of those guys I look at with Cleveland and some of these other teams and just go, my God, how big of an impact would you be? But now I think of him more as a 3-4 DN than I did. He's more agile than I thought. He's a very big body. He's just a good kid. I heard somebody that does what I do. They were responding to a critic on Twitter. They said, "You watched him on CBS. I know his dog's name were not the same." That's my new line. I'm using that from here on out. You watched him on CBS. I know his dog's name. We're not the same.
Alex Sanders says Alex Leatherwood.
I like Alex Leatherwood. The problem with Leatherwood, I feel, is that Leatherwood has gotten so big. And I don't know what he weighs in at right now, but he looks markedly heavier than and he's always been a big guy. I think he's right tackle. And I think that's going to hurt him. I think he'll be an elite right tackle. I think he'll be a really good right tackle in the NFL. I don't think anybody can project him on the left. He doesn't strike me as a blindside protector. Wyatt Davis, the injury concerns, the guard for Ohio State, was a guy that I had in the first round. I think the injuries that might push him out of the first round. Zach Hurst could the Jets take a receiver at 2? Yes, I think Devontae Smith could go 2. I really do believe that. I told you when this season started, a wide receiver is going to pass Jamar Chase. It has solidly happened. And it might be 2 of them. I think Jalen Waddle you know what? Jalen Waddle goes ahead of Jamar Chase.
Woo! Wow, okay.
Spicy hot meatball. Woo!
The gutsy performance, the gamble paid off for him.
100%.
Yeah, I get it. Still not a risk that I would have wanted him to take if he were mine. If he were my child, I would have told him, yeah, maybe we don't do this. Especially after you came off limping on that first play. Look, you did it. You proved your point. You got back out here. Okay, we're done now. We're not doing this anymore. Eagles have fired Doug Peterson. They had decided they need to part ways. This was Jeffrey Lurie going, Carson Wentz is my guy.
Yeah.
And if you're not gonna be on board with that, you're gonna throw this Jalen Hurst shit at us, bye. See you later. And I think they made the right choice. I get it's 3 years after they won a Super Bowl. You don't really like to see that, but this thing is not going well. They have this franchise is in turmoil.
Ooh, I love what do I love more than anything?
Being right.
Okay, that's. I'll give you that.
The second answer to that is chicken wings and beer.
Okay, we're to 3.
All right, 3. What's number 3?
Pissing people off. I do love to piss people off.
All right.
This was wrong call, and this is why the Philadelphia Eagles are the Philadelphia Eagles. This is the reason that you've won one Super Bowl in 54 years. Firing Doug Peterson was the wrong call here. You put him in a no-win situation. The fault of this falls on Howie Roseman because you took Jalen Hurts in the second round and this was a no-win situation.
Yes.
And now you're going to hire another coach that's in another no-win situation.
Right.
Because it's not like you can get rid of either of them.
Yeah.
You said this yesterday on the ESPN show, and I swear this has been bouncing around in my head all night long. We're going to keep doing this. Because there's going to be a faction like me that watches tape and goes, Carson Wentz is the better quarterback, and it's not close.
Yep.
You need to get him a line. You need to get him some receivers. But he's the better coach, and it's not close.
Yep.
And then you look at Jalen Hurts, and there will always be a faction of people that say, "Oh, he's a winner in college," and blah 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 blah.
Yep.
He's Tim Tebow 2.0 to me, but Zach Hurst said they had to choose between Wentz and Peterson. I agree, and that's the GM's fault. That's not Doug Peterson's fault. Doug Peterson was in a no-win situation here, and I'm telling you right now, he's going to be the next head coach of the New York Jets.
Yeah.
And
You said
Don't
that
see any
like
doubt.
2 weeks ago when this was starting to
I
swirl.
did. Well, here's the thing. This is how a lot of this works. A lot of times people won't, guys that I talk to off the record, they won't tell me specific things. They'll hint around at shit. And one of the things I've heard is that there was a coach trade brewing in the NFL. Well, I'm left to read the tea leaves. So it was Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson and Joe Douglas are very, very good friends. Doug was on the ropes in Philly. Things are happening, and so I thought it was that. Now I'm not so sure of that. Now I'm not so sure it's not Frank Reich.
Right.
Because it makes all the sense in the world. Indianapolis will lose Matt Eberflus if he's not the head coach week 1 of next year. Mm-hmm. And do I see a path that Philadelphia says, hey, you know what, we'll give you some draft capital for Frank Reich, bring him back? But because Philadelphia's going to have to make a home run hire here, and it's going to be hard because the fan base is pissed. And that's a weird fan base to have pissed off at you because they're very hard to get back. Yeah. They throw batteries at Santa Claus and Jesus and shit. So, like, this is a hard fan base to come back from.
Throwing rocks at
The
Jesus?
first question
Really?
they're going to be
Didn't they do that?
like,
Was it just Santa? Have I told that joke so many
Throw
times?
snowballs at Santa Claus, and they threw batteries at a Phillies game, I think it was.
Yeah, maybe that was a joke I told on stage a long time ago.
I'm sure it was. I mean, it was funny, don't get me wrong.
It sounded like something I would
be
say on
factually
stage.
correct. They were not throwing rocks at Jesus.
I don't think that. I said batteries, not rocks. I don't know where the hell you got rocks from. They've thrown batteries at multiple people, and they cheered when Michael Irvin almost died. So
Right.
this is not exactly a rational fan base. Mm-hmm. So you have to make a home run hire.
Yeah.
And how many of those are there? I mean, really be honest with yourself. I heard Sal Paolantonio talk about this morning. First of all, this is a god awful job.
oh, my God.
You have no money. Your team's old as hell.
Yep.
You have a quarterback nightmare. And how many playmakers do you actually have? Like, name me a playmaker on that team not named Miles Sanders, who has a huge but right beside his name,
Jalen Reagor.
who's unproven as hell.
Uh-huh.
Now you got, that's the 2. Mm-hmm. 3's probably Deshaun Jackson, because you're going to lose Zach Ertz. You're going to lose a lot of talent because you're over the cap. Mm-hmm. So you're killed against the cap. You're having an unsettled quarterback situation. Who wants this job?
Yeah.
So what's your home run hire? Outside of Frank Reich, which I'm totally spitballing. I have not heard that from anywhere. I'm trying to make 2 ends meet.
Right. And it makes a lot of sense.
What's the home run hire?
I mean, Eric Bieniemy, but
He
wouldn't
wouldn't
take that
even
job.
listen to you.
Right.
I'm serious. He wouldn't even listen.
Mike Kafka, but he's
I think
unproven.
Mike Kafka is the guy. I think that's the guy if you can't broker something with Reich. Mm-hmm. And with Reich, the thought for him would be you're looking at Phillip Rivers is gone and Brissett's gone and you're unsettled at quarterback and you got Eberflus and he can bring in his own offensive guy. And you can rehab because I don't think that's a Super Bowl winning team.
Yeah.
I think they're several steps away and you need a guy like Eberflus to step in there. I've never thought Frank Reich was long for Indianapolis and I don't know why. I don't have a reason for that. It's just a gut feeling.
Wasn't the first choice.
He was not the first choice, and that might be part of it.
Yeah.
And Eberflus was hired before him. He's one of the only defensive coordinators I've ever seen that was hired before the head coach.
Yeah.
So it's just always a weird situation.
Well, it's a stepping stone job. It's a stepping stone job to something else. Yeah.
I don't agree with that. I don't think there are not stepping stone jobs in the NFL. Andy Reid's coaching the Kansas City freaking Chiefs, which was an did not matter franchise 10 years ago.
That's a good point.
You wind up with Pat Mahomes, every job in the NFL can be a destination job. Mm-hmm. Hell, Urban Meyer is going to end up taking the Jacksonville job because that could be a destination job with Trevor Lawrence.
The next coach at Philly is going to have to come in, too, and they're going to have to – the first question they ask is, who do you like, Carson Wentz or Jalen Hurts?
Well, but you can't ask that question. So that's the thing. This is where Howie Roseman has to put on his big boy pants and fix his fuck up.
Yeah.
Because you fucked up taking Jalen Hurts in the second round. And if you go back and watch our draft video, it took me about 3 seconds to say that.
Yep.
If you remember, and he can verify this because he's sitting right beside me, Zach Hurst can too because he's sitting right beside us. I laughed uncontrollably when they took Jalen Hurts in the second round.
Mm-hmm. We all did.
Because I hate the Eagles. Mm-hmm. And of all the things you could do, that's probably the stupidest thing you could have done.
Yeah.
And it ultimately leads to this. Yeah. And now you fire a good coach in the hopes that you can find somebody better.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe there are 2 candidates here, and there are only 2. It's Frank Reich and it's Mike Kafka. That's it. That's it. You don't have another candidate here. Because everybody else is going to come with a but. And this is the Philadelphia market, which is second to New York in terms of just killing shit like this.
Yeah.
All right, let's say they bring in Arthur Smith, who I like. I do like Arthur Smith. Let's say they bring him in. You know what they're going to kill him over?
What?
Oh, he's only a coordinator for a year. Mm-hmm. Oh, he only works when he's got Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Oh, Ryan Tannehill was so bad in the playoff game. I mean, I can hear it.
Right.
I can hear Philadelphia Nation doing this right now. And that's what they're all going to be. Bieniemy. Oh, he's only good because he's under Andy Reid. Mm-hmm. On and on and on. And now you have to mend the fan base because the fan base is completely fractured.
Yeah.
Whether it's Hurts and Wentz,
Yeah.
Peterson and Wentz, Roseman and Peterson. you just have factions all over the place.
What do you think Andy Reid has told Eric Bieniemy about Philadelphia?
Stay the fuck away from it.
That was kind of my thought.
What would Andy Reid say? The cheesesteaks are phenomenal. The organization's a dumpster fire.
Right.
Go interview, get you a cheesesteak, and get your ass back to Kansas City.
Yeah.
Right.
Go get you a free cheesesteak. Come on, man.
Take any job. Take any other job. But
Yeah.
don't take that Philadelphia
Yeah.
job. So a lot of people are hot to trot on Eric Bieniemy and ending up, because this is the Philadelphia Eagles. They're 3 years removed from a Super Bowl. Yeah, but you're not taking into account where things have gone since then.
And it's all
evolved
tied back
into.
to Howie Roseman.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, this is not that hard to figure out. And I'll be honest with you, I blame Jeff Lurie too.
Yeah.
Because, you allowed it to happen. Mm-hmm. You cannot have a franchise quarterback and take another quarterback in the second round. It's stupid. And Green Bay is quickly going to figure out the same problem. Because Aaron Rodgers has gone on his fuck you tour. Yeah, guess what? He still wants one more deal. Mm-hmm. Aaron Rodgers is watching Tom Brady playing at 43 years old going,
Yes, he is.
I take that good care of my body.
Yes,
he is.
I play that. It's not going to be in Tampa Bay. Stop your shit. You don't get every decrepit old Hall of Fame quarterback.
The planets align.
Yes. He wants them
Brady retires. In comes the next legend.
It's going to be in San Francisco, not Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Throwing that out there.
He going home. He going home.
You're probably right about
Throwing that out there.
that. Yeah, you're probably right about that.
Yeah.
All right, Kyrie Irving gets shifted to the afternoon show yet again.
Kyrie Irving just keeps getting bumped. I mean,
look-
hell, by the time we actually have enough time to talk about this, he might play again.
Right. Here's the thing. He don't want to show up and do his job, then we don't have to talk about it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much to everybody in the comments. The last few days have been fantastic with all the interaction. This makes it so much more fun for us. Because frankly, I talk to him more than I talk to my wife. And just because there's a camera here does not actually make it less likely that I will hit him.
Join us this afternoon on the Sports Tank with Jeremy Green on ESPN Asheville, here at everywhere with the iHeartRadio app. Follow, like, and share us here at the Sportsocracy on all the social medias. And we are live once again, as always, from the Wicked Weed Studios, wickedweedbrewing.com. Drink different. We'll see you this afternoon.